Batool, I read a review today of your book, IYLA Goes to the Dentist, and a mother said, my 2-year-old really enjoyed the book. So what's the nature of the book, and why would a 2-year-old be reading it?
Oh, that feedback is fantastic. I wrote this book kind of for young children and toddlers, and it's an introduction to visiting the dentist. It gives a overview of the process of your first initial checkup, and that's fabulous that kids are taking to the book and they're learning something. One of the main reasons that I wrote the book was to introduce kids to going to the dentist and reducing those fears associated, or those fears that they may have about coming into our offices. And also of importance was to highlight the names of the tools. And so I think that's very exciting to hear, that kids are picking up and excited to know kind of what a mirror is or what an explorer is. And that's all kind of shown in the book, step by step, start to finish, what an initial checkup with your dentist could look like.
Now, I've spent 24 years trying to get dentists to write, and it's as if there's an aversion to writing. Why did you write a book?
So there was a few reasons. I have 2 young kids myself, and a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I buy a lot of books. And one thing I found was that books about going to the dentist weren't necessarily that accurate. There was things, they'll introduce kids to certain aspects of dentistry, but there was a level of accuracy that was missing. And I thought that this is something I know a lot about, I'm passionate about. I've been practicing dentistry for 13 years. I'm passionate about dentistry. I love kids and I love that initial meeting. And I thought I can help to educate kids. And so that was one of the big things and I wanted to normalize a female dentist. I wanted kids to see the reality of what it looks like when they go into their dental office. A lot of dentists are now females. A lot of our team members are female, and it's important to showcase that. And so that was one of the driving forces for why I wanted to do this project, or why I wanted to to help educate kids and also show them the realities of what our profession is now.
And did the pandemic provide some extra time so that you could actually put pen to paper?
Absolutely. I never thought that I would practice in a time where there would be a global pandemic like this. And I had to find something for myself to mitigate some of the stresses that we were feeling, being practice owners and clinicians, and all these daily changes were happening. I thought, this is an opportunity to do something for the community, something good, and something that I was interested in. I wanted to showcase a female dentist. I wanted to showcase a person of color, and I wanted this to be a creative project for personal reasons for myself. And so the pandemic allowed us that, I wouldn't say a breather, but it gave us a little bit of time in our family to kind of not have to worry about the clinical aspects of dentistry and think about something else. And for me, that was the opportunity to do something that I had wanted to do for so long, which was write a children's book.
Right. Now, I have to imagine there's a lot of moving parts to getting an illustrated children's book together. Was the process more difficult or longer than you anticipated, or was it a slam dunk?
So it was a smooth process, but it did take a little longer than I had anticipated. I had the idea of writing this book about a child going to visit their dentist, and I had these ideas, like I had mentioned, about showcasing women in dentistry, celebrating that. So the ideas were all there. I first wrote a manuscript, and then I sent that off to some publishers. Once it was accepted and approved, the process was kind of like clockwork. There were steps that I took, contacting an illustrator, picking from the illustrators that we wanted to use, which I need to mention, she did a fantastic job. You'll see in the book that there's detailed pictures of what an operatory looks like, and you, like I know, lots of tubes, lots of pieces, and she did a beautiful job highlighting those things. But yeah, so it took me in all about a year a little over a year, start to finish. And I'm also I think it was hard for me too, when I started seeing it come together. I started and we reopened, the clinic reopened in this time as well. So there was a lot of kind of work stuff going on, as well as the changes with COVID regulations and managing all of those aspects. So it ended up taking me a little longer, but I got it done, and I'm very happy with the results and the feedback.
So you didn't have the classic 20 rejection slips from publishers, did you?
I didn't. And I think, and the more I talk to people in the bookstores, the more I hear that there's a huge need for this type of genre in the market. There's a lot of cartoon versions of showcasing kind of animals as the dentists and the characters, or, showcasing male dentists. There's not a lot of books out there that showcase a female dentist with the amount of accuracy that our book has.
Well, I know that there are so many creative people in our profession all across our country. Perhaps there's an opportunity here and a need for more people to follow your example and to do this.
Yeah, I think one thing I learned was that if you have an idea, it's important to try and follow through. I know I'm in a position where I was able to kind of publish my book. I was able to do those things, and I'm grateful. And I think that's part of our profession. It allows us a little bit of time sometimes to do other things, and it's important. And I think it's important to in mitigating stresses in our profession too, to find something you like to do and set an intention and try to follow through it and do it. For me, this was a thought that I had for years. Some of my closest friends are now saying to me, like, "Oh, I'm glad that you finally did this," because even I had forgot that I talked about writing a children's book. But I think it's important to find things outside of our daily clinical lives and kind of have interests.
So let's presume it's going to be a hit. Are you going to be a one-hit wonder, or have you been bitten by the bug now?
So I love practicing dentistry. I think that as we're navigating through this pandemic, things have kind of normalized in the clinic now. We're used to practicing. We're back to our regular practice. But I can say that I have very much enjoyed this process of publishing something. And it was my intention before I did this first book that I would do a second as a tribute to my son. I didn't want him to. I didn't want to leave him out of the process. So I hope at some point down the road there will be a second book. Whether it's about dentistry, I don't know yet. But I do hope to do that. I think that for me, even with this first book coming out, IYLA Goes to the Dentist, I think it's a great tool for moms and dads to show their kids, but I think that it would be nice to make it into an animated short. That's kind of where I'm headed next, possibly.
Hollywood beckons, eh? That's fantastic. But let's come back to earth with us as we're rounding this off. Do you hope that dentists will buy the book and incorporate it into practice? Are you incorporating it in your practice?
We have been giving it out to kids in the practice. I should say that all of the proceeds of this book are going to charity. So we do have it in our practice. We are giving it to kids, and that's kind of where I've gotten the initial feedback from, that moms are saying, "Oh, this is great. I wish I had this earlier." So that was very nice to hear. And I do think that it can be incorporated in in practices, it can be given out. So I do hope to see it physically in other offices as well. For me, this is a complete passion project. This is something that I feel very strongly about. Giving back to the community is also something that I feel very strongly about. So to tie those two things together was fabulous. A personal highlight for me was when I saw it, my book listed on Amazon and Indigo and Barnes and Noble. But I think to get physical copies even into children's toy stores or children's bookstores is a next step for me as well. But I hope that other dentists find this a useful tool we have in our office, and I think that it's useful.
Right. So you've, I think, told us where to get the book. You know, we can go to Amazon or Indigo or Barnes and Noble or and physical bookstores across the country soon, hopefully. And any final word to colleagues across the country?
No, I think that we're lucky to be in this profession. I've had the opportunity to learn a lot in my few years practicing, and I hope to continue to practice. And I think we need to kind of learn from each other. And I think it's important, and I hope that this is a tool that will help me kind of progress in my profession as well, and I can use it to kind of travel and talk to people, and I think we're already kind of starting to do that, which is really nice. And I want people to see that coming to the dentist isn't something that has to be a negative experience, and we're all in this together, and yeah, I think that we can all benefit from this.
Dr. Batool Kazmi, I take my hat off to you, if I have a hat, and I congratulate you, and I thank you for coming here today to talk to us.
Thank you, Dr. O'Keefe, for giving us the opportunity to speak. I really, truly appreciate it.